Maro, thanks for letting us into the sacred thing that is a trim. I know you got rid of the locks a couple of years ago. Are you missing them? Now you're looking at mine and missing them.
Yours are growing. They're growing.
They're in that stage.
Do I miss them? No, I don't, to be honest. I got rid of them, 2023, end of 2023. I just felt it was time. I had them from 2014. I started growing them in 2014, 2023, end of a World Cup cycle. I just thought it was time to start a new leaf.
You miss them? You got them locked away somewhere in the bedroom?
I do actually have them.
Is it?
Yeah, but because when I cut them, I was like, if I really don't like it, I'll just stick them back on. But now I've gotten used to it, so I could probably throw them away, but I might burn them. I don't want someone to have my DNA, so maybe I'll dispose of them.
New look, new Maro, just before the new year.
I seen when you cut them, I think the quote you used was, "The impermanence is a fact of life," right? It's quite a deep one, but is there any meaning behind that as well in terms of your life away from, trims, but so like rugby, for example? I mean, nothing's permanent, I guess is what that phrase means.
Yeah, I think I can't remember who I heard say it. It may have been Will Smith. I think it's just that. Life is evolving, life changes. Nothing is permanent in life. Nothing. So everything has a season, and I think you just have to get used to that.
You've had crazy year, like Saracens captain, England captain, Lions captain, getting married. Is it hard to reflect when you've just got so much going on? This is probably when you look back, it's going to be one of the most key couple of years of your life, right?
Yeah, it definitely has been a very significant year, both professionally and off the field. It's been incredibly significant. But when you're going through it, you don't really have time to reflect too much. I think as much as possible, I want to savor things, and in big occasions, whether that's been with England or Saracens or even at my wedding, I've tried to take time to take it all in. Probably when you have a bit more time to slow down and think and reflect, then you really take the magnitude of everything. But we've still got work to do.
How big is the Lions? Because I guess people in rugby, for them, I know it's the be all and end all. It's the greatest achievement. It's the greatest tour you can go on. But I guess for some, if you were to explain it to someone who knows the sport a little bit but isn't maybe as in it as you are, how big is it as an achievement, as a moment?
No, it's huge, and it's absolutely huge, and I think you can see it in the reaction of the players who were chosen, especially the reaction of the players who were chosen for the first time. You see the glee, the joy, in some cases relief, the excitement in their faces, and you see their reactions, their genuine raw emotions. It's the pinnacle of rugby for a British and Irish rugby player. If you're in the squad, you're considered amongst the best players in Britain and Ireland for that period of time. Another reason why the Lions are so special is that it happens so rare. You have to be performing well once every 4 years. If you miss that opportunity, tomorrow's not promised. There's been many players, many people who've perhaps been good enough to be selected for the Lions, but they've either been injured or they've had a slight dip in form, or some other different circumstances have taken place, and now they're not a Lion. So it's definitely special.
To then be the captain, does it get any better than that? Is there any higher honour for in rugby than that for you?
No, it's well and truly a blessing, and it's well and truly extremely humbling. After I was fortunate enough to be named captain, I had a couple of things I was doing in central London, and I was walking through the streets, and I was seeing the reaction of people who were just huge rugby fans, and the look in their face. So it's a tremendous honour, something that I'm extremely proud to do. But the captaincy, whether it's of the Lions or England or Saracens, is not about me. My job is to help and support the team achieve the goals and objectives. So that's going to be at the forefront of my mind.
I know you're quite an open speaker about all different kind of subjects, and being a high-profile black player, I guess in general, you'd have spoken about that and the representation of what that means. Have you been asked much about that in terms of being the first black captain of the Lions?
Yeah, it's been mentioned a few times, obviously, since I've taken or was given the role. And again, it's a tremendous honour. I think it shows the growth in the game. Back in 1980, there probably weren't that many black people playing rugby. Now, if you look across the top 14 or you look across the Premiership, there's an increase in number in that regard, and the game is becoming more and more accessible. And we want rugby to grow. We want rugby to integrate itself in different communities and all that kind of stuff, and it's happening. We'll probably like it to accelerate. For me, it's I guess to be the first of anything, is a tremendous honour, and that's also a responsibility. I have a responsibility to make sure that I set a good example and I conduct myself in a way which I think is appropriate for someone in this role. The most important thing is that the team wins and the team is successful. So that's going to be at the forefront of my mind and the whole squad.
Well, I know everyone's algorithms are slightly different, but do you know what is the first thing that comes up when you put Maro Itoje into YouTube?
I don't know.
Well, for me, anyway.
I have no idea.
Do you want me to tell you what it was for me?
What was it?
5 minutes of Maro Itoje being a house.
I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy.
But do you know what my favourite move is from that 5 minutes? It's you going up to people's faces and just this.
I don't know.
It's a good move, that
mistaken
one.
Identity.
Where does that side of your character come from? Has that always been a part of your character? That because it's obviously playful, but it's from a competitive nature as well, isn't it?
I think when I play rugby, I aspire to be like a high energy, vocal player. The position I play is a fairly combative position. It involves hitting people, it involves getting hit. It's very much about work rate and effort, as opposed to, there's a bit of finesse and skill there, but it's mostly about work rate and effort. And to play rugby, you also have to have such an aggressive mindset, in particular with the position I play. And it manifests itself in a number of different ways. And, sometimes you want to hype yourself. Most of the time, I want to energize myself and energize my teammates. And sometimes it involves getting under some people's skin. But as I've matured, I've done a little bit less of that now.
Some of those clips weren't from too long ago.
I guess it happens.
The Lions captaincy is very unique because you're thrown in, I guess, with a lot of people you would have never played with before and often played against. Have you thought about how, as a captain, in that kind of different role, you're going to act and how that's going to be for you?
Yeah, I guess every Lions tour that has been successful has had a strong level of cohesion within the group. And I guess the Lions is a particularly special environment and a particularly special team because, not to say this is not the case in other teams, but it's even more so with the Lions because of the rarity of it. Each and every one of those players are desperate to be there. Each and every one of those players want their tour to be successful. So they throw all of themselves at it, and they probably approach it with a more willing attitude than some of the other teams that they may represent because it's so rare. So they don't want to miss the opportunity. To be part of a Lions tour is great. To be part of a winning Lions tour is amazing. And that's the opportunity that we all have as part of this Lions squad.
I guess you'd have a lot of firsts in your career, and captaining the Lions will be a first. And like you said, it's such a a big thing, it's a massive honour, it's the highest pinnacle of the game. Are you nervous about it?
Am I nervous? I'm not nervous yet.
Do you ever get nervous? Like,
I do get nervous. I get nervous before every game, regardless of who we're playing. Saracens spent a year in the Championship, and we were playing students and
I think they would have
plumbers.
been. I think they would have been nervous.
So they would have been probably more nervous than me, but I was still nervous in preparation for that game because it's not necessarily about who we're playing. It's more about making sure that we live up to what we're supposed to do.
Standing in a tunnel as captain of the Lions, is that not going to be like a next level of feeling that those nerves and that adrenaline?
No, the obviously the magnitude of the game will be so much higher than a lot of what I've done and experienced before. But I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to do the role. I think I'm ready to do the job. And I gain confidence from the quality of coaches we have, the quality of support staff we have, and the quality of personnel we have within our squad. I think you would be a little bit worried if I said I wasn't nervous at all. There will be an element of nerves, an element of healthy nerves, but I think we'll be ready. Does
leadership does it always come naturally to you? Or is it something you've had to work on? Because
it depends who you ask. I felt as if I've always had leadership capabilities. But as with everything, leadership is a skill. You learn and you improve if you work on that skill over time. I've had the great privilege to have played with some absolutely amazing leaders, captains.
Who would you pick out?
Steve Borthwick was my first. He's now the England coach, and he was the first captain that I played under at Saracens, and he was extremely diligent, very thoughtful. It almost seems as if nothing he said or did was by mistake. And Brad Barrett was a phenomenal captain. He had a great feel for the group, very articulate. He was an absolute warrior. Owen Farrell, again, absolute warrior, one of the most competitive men that I've ever had the pleasure of playing with. Absolute animal on the pitch, and he galvanised the team really well. And there's also a whole series of guys who weren't necessarily captain, but I learnt so much from. So, like someone like Richard Wigglesworth, extremely competitive, probably right up there in terms of the most competitive. But he was never really captain, but he was always a huge leader within the squad. Mako and Billy Villapola, again, they were very rarely ever captain, but both very different, but they both had a great sense of what the team needs, and their performances over a period of time, they were probably the best number 8 and best loose end in the world for a period of time. From an England point of view, Dylan, again, a very, probably a slightly different character to me, but he was very abrasive, and he was exactly what England needed at that point in time.
The 2 previous tours you've been on, if you had to have, I know it's been a drawn series and a defeat, but what would some of those highlights be, or do you have one in particular that you can pick out?
The highlight on the field is definitely the second test in New Zealand. We lost the week before. The second test was my first test start. It was an amazing back and forth game. It was wet, it was windy, and we managed to win the game in the end. And it felt like one of those surreal moments that you could, if you could bottle it, it was genuinely amazing. If there was a game or one of the games I would go back to and almost relive the experience again, it will definitely be that game.
What would you expect in terms of the challenge of Australia? Talk to me about that.
No, they have a great coach, Joe Schmidt, who is well known in the Northern Hemisphere with regards to rugby. He's a very smart and intellectual coach, and he's only been with Australia for a short time now, and you've seen the progression. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be very challenging. They're a good team. They're on the rise. I've played against Australia a lot, age group, and they're probably one of the international teams that I've played the most. They're super competitive. They're very loud. They're very quick to tell you what they think of you. So I expect it will be all of that plus more, because the Lions brings the best out of ourselves as Lions, but it also brings the best out of opposition.
That side of things, do you talk about that much in the changing room, or in your analysis, I guess, or your preparation, the kind of mental side, or
the mental side is huge. The higher and higher level you go, the mental side becomes more and more important. So it's a massive part of the game. If anything, it's at the level we're playing, everyone's going to be fit, everyone's going to be strong, everyone's going to have a good skill level. That's going to be the difference. To get to that level, you have to have a toughness about you. So some people are naturally tough. Some people learn to be tough. I don't think there's.
What's yours? Yeah.
Well, I like to think I'm naturally tough, but it's also something that you can get better at. So, I think there was the element of toughness in me from the jump, but there was also something that I think you can be tougher. I think you can learn to be tougher, and through experiences, through life, through maybe a hardening of your mindset over time, through mental work or whatever, you can learn to be tougher.
Talk to me about Under Armour and sort of the continued partnership and the work they do.
Probably what is the difference between Under Armour and other companies or brands or whatever is the support that they give me away from the field, and how much they care about the athlete holistically, as opposed to just come here, do this, just come here, take a couple photos. It's the care, is the 360 holistic care. They're super big in recovery. They have the ability to talk to their experts in recovery, and they've assessed my sleep, my recovery protocols, and they've helped me probably become more holistic in that sense.
What's important to you off the field? Because I know rugby is obviously such a massive part of your life, but I know obviously recently you got married, so I'd like to ask how that went. And also I know your faith's really important to you as well. And is that something that's been like a progression actually? Because it'd be interesting to know about.
Yeah, so, my faith is a massive part of my life. I've always been a Christian. I was baptized when I was, a little kid.
You were little?
I was a little kid. I was baptized when I was a little kid, but I guess it's kind of grown over the years, and probably about 2 or so years ago, I decided to take my faith. No, probably more than that. Maybe 2 to 3 years ago. Anyway, I decided to really double down on my faith, and I wanted to have a closer relationship with God, and I began to take steps to try and achieve that. So as with all these things, it's a journey. It's something that is deepening as time goes on, and I want to dedicate more and more and more of my time to God so I can have a closer relationship with Him. But yeah, it's something that has shaped me, and something that is a huge part of my life.
And a married man now.
And a married man. So that's a blessing.
And I can't leave without just finally mentioning Arsenal as well, because that's an important off the field thing. Off the field for you, on the field for others. But yeah. Just tell me about Arsenal in this season, and your love relationship with.
I was a devout Arsenal fan for many years. I remember, I think it was when I was about 14 or so. Then Arsenal were playing Liverpool in, I think it was a Carling Cup game, and it was Theo Walcott scored to equalise. I think it was like 2-2. He dribbled almost the whole field and scored, and I was in the boarding house at the time and went crazy. Then Liverpool scored, we lost 3-2, we're out. And I remember I went back to my room in the boarding house and I started crying. So I was like, damn, I can't let Arsenal make me cry anymore. So this year was close. It didn't quite make me cry. We had so much hopes, but that's life, that's sport. I know the team are trying really hard, and they're going to get hopefully go and do that final step next season. So next year's our year. Next year's our year.
Man, it must be, man. Nice one.
Thank you, mate.
Nice one, man.